Thanks for tuning in to Mind Medicine YouTube channel. My name is Brett Campbell. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to discuss an important topic, depression. I know that it is Mental Health Awareness Month in the month of May, and I definitely want to contribute to the discussion that I've been hearing all over the world about mental health issues. Today I want to look at depression from a spiritual and a biblical standpoint. Biblically, I want to first look at 1 Samuel, chapters 14 and chapters 15 and chapter 16. So here you will find a discussion between God and Samuel about how God wants Saul to destroy Amalek, the country. And you know, he tells Samuel to tell Saul that he wants everything in Amalek to be destroyed. The cattle, the people, everything. He didn't want anything left behind. So because of they were opposing Israel, and because of that, God wanted that whole nation to be destroyed. So Samuel gets this information from God, and then he tells it to Saul. He tells Saul exactly what God told him. You know, God wants you to get your army, destroy the nation of Amalek, the Amalekites, everything. Just destroy everything. Don't leave anything behind. So that's what Saul did. He gathered up his troops. He gathered up his army. He went into the nation of Amalek, and he almost destroyed everything. He destroyed, you know, most of the cattle, but he kept the good cattle. So he kept all the good and strong lambs and sheep and all the good and strong animals. And he also did not destroy every Amalekite. He did keep Agag, which was the king of Amalek. So after the whole thing was over, God tells Samuel, he comes to visit him again, and he's like, you know what? I regret making Saul king. He did not do what I told him to do. He did not obey me. He did not destroy all the animals, and he still kept Agag. He did not destroy him. So, you know, Saul was like, Samuel was like, okay, I'm going to give this information to Saul. So he tells Saul everything that God told him. And Saul was thinking that he did a good thing because he thought that he was keeping the animals for a sacrifice to God. And he told that to Samuel. He was like, well, you know what? I kept the good animals to offer as a sacrifice to God. But then Samuel tells him, which we all are familiar with this passage, he says, obedience is better than sacrifice. So Samuel go ahead and tell Saul that God regrets making you king. He regrets the decision that he made to make him king. And as a result of that, Samuel never visits Saul again, and he lost favor with God. With all of that went down, now you have Saul feeling very, very sad and depressed. He no longer had the Spirit of God living within him, and a tormenting spirit, entered into him, a spirit of depression and a spirit of fear. And he was just in a bad way, was very depressed. He was very fearful. So his servants that were around him suggested that he hire an armor bearer and somebody who would play music for him. So that's what, Saul did. He hired David. And David became his armor bearer. He became a close confidant to Saul. And when Saul had that troubling spirit, when he would become depressed and sad, then David would play the harp for him. So biblically, depression is a spirit. And then we can see in this particular text, to remedy depression, Saul played music. He had music surrounding him. He had a close confidant that he could confide in, and that confidant also played music to cheer Saul up. So that's from a spiritual standpoint. From a mental health standpoint, depression is different than sadness. We all have moments where we feel sad, especially when we lose a loved one or any type of loss. It can bring, pain and sorrow in our lives because it's something that was near and dear to our hearts. But depression does not. You don't have a reason to be sad, to be depressed. Depression comes on people who has not lost anything. They could be, rich, poor, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Depression could come on that person. They can feel depressed, and it is not contingent upon losing something. So, in the mental health field, in order to be diagnosed with depression, there needs to be at least 5 symptoms. Number one being you need to have a depressed mood every day. Every day you waking up and you have this heavy depression on you. It's something that you just cannot shake. Also, you lose interest. Things that you were interested in before, whether it was sports or some type of hobby, going out, shopping, whatever you were interested in, you are not interested in it. You are not interested in it anymore. So you lose interest. Thirdly, you may lose weight. You'll stop eating, or you may even gain weight. Some people may eat, or some people may stop eating. Also, you have a slow thought process. Your thoughts are slowed down, and your physical movements are slowed down. You're not really thinking or moving the way that you used to. You also have a loss of energy. You're fatigued. You don't want to get out of bed anymore. You just want to stay in the house. You don't want to go anywhere. You lose your ability to think or concentrate. You can't think about anything else. You can't concentrate on your classwork or your school or your stuff you have to do for work. You're just unable to think or concentrate, and then you have feelings of being worthless. Okay, you don't think that your life is worth living. You don't think that you are contributing anything to society or to people in general. And then you may have recurrent thoughts of death, suicidal ideations. You're constantly thinking of death, and it's something that, it just keeps going on in your head, the idea of dying. So all of those you need 5 of those symptoms to have a medical diagnosis of depression. To remedy depression, there are so many things. If you're feeling any of those symptoms, there are so many things that you can do. Number one, you can seek help, get a therapist. There are different therapies that will deal with the mind, or like cognitive behavioral, whatever therapy that fits you. Seek help. Seek a medical professional to help you to cope with these symptoms that you're feeling. Also, exercising, changing your diet, all those things can help to regulate your emotions as well. So if you are feeling depressed I know we talked about it spiritually and we talked about it from a mental health standpoint. I would say how I feel, and this is just my opinion. I know a lot of people who are saved, they don't like to seek help from outside, medical help, like clinical therapists or, any type of therapy. They rely on, their faith, which is good. We should rely on our faith. But if you're feeling like this every single day, and like how Saul did, he had a confidant that he confided in, he played music and he was able to cheer up. However, if you're doing those things and you're still feeling sad, if you're praying and you're, worshiping God and you still feeling sad and you still feeling those symptoms of depression, you need to seek help. If you're having those thoughts of suicidal thoughts, you need to seek help immediately. I will list things on my website Also, on this link, you will find links to seek help. I think that it's very important that Christians seek help as from mental health therapists. If you can seek help for your body from a physical standpoint, from a medical doctor, there is nothing wrong with seeking help from a mental health standpoint.